Welcome to Professor Wright. You have a voice. Let's find it. And of course, I am the Professor, D.A. Adams. Welcome back and welcome to video number 2. In this installment, I'm going to offer you 2 tools that can help you through the rest of your writing career, however long that may last. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first tool that I want to introduce to you is what's called the Crap Detector. Now, I am not the one who coined this phrase, and I don't want to try to take credit for it. The man who came up with this, to my knowledge, was a poet named Richard Hugo. And in his great book, The Triggering Town, he talked about being a writing instructor. The Triggering Town, by the way, is a great book. It's about inspiration and where writers get it from. He was specifically talking about poetry, but I found that it works for fiction as well. But if you can find a copy of it, The Triggering Town is an excellent resource for writers for where we come up with inspiration and how to find inspiration in everyday life and in different aspects of life. So anyway, so that's my plug for The Triggering Town. But in the book, he talks about having a crap detector for writers when they're studying the craft from someone else. And let me say it this way to explain what the crap detector is. Everything that I'm going to try to teach you has the potential to be wrong because I am trying to teach you what works for me or what works maybe for somebody else, not necessarily what's going to work for you because everybody is different. So you as the writer, one of your jobs is to hone your crap detector so that you can figure out what is going to work for you and what is not. And when I say something to you of do it this way or try this out, if your crap detector kicks in and says, that's not going to work for me, I can't do it that way, you need to listen to that voice. Now, don't just discount things out of hand. Maybe try them out before you decide. But if it doesn't work, then you throw it away and you don't ever try that again. The point is to find what does work for you. And the things that I teach you may not ultimately work. They may not be to your advantage. Don't hold on to them and try to use them just because I tell you that they work for me. You find what works for you. The whole point of this video lecture series is for you to find your voice, not for you to find mine or anybody else's, but to find your own voice yourself. And so keep that crap detector in your back pocket. And if you ever run across anybody, whether it be in a book or a lecture series like this or in a workshop or somewhere, anywhere where you're learning about writing, if somebody says to you that they know the right way to do it, your crap detector better kick in because there is no one right way to do it. There are as many right ways to do it as there are wrong ways to do it. Your job is to find what works for you, not to worry about what anybody else says, not to worry about what anybody else tells you is the right or wrong way to do it. What works is what's effective, okay? So the crap detector is a wonderful tool for you to keep and for you to hone so that you can become selective in what advice you keep and what advice you discard. Now, the second tool that I want to give you is something else that's equally as effective. Now, again, this is something that I learned. This is not something I came up with on my own. I don't want to try to take credit for myself. I learned it in graduate school from a lady named Dr. Mary Sue McNeely, a wonderful teacher who taught me a heck of a lot about teaching writing. And she taught us the story of what are called fish cabinets. And before you ask what the heck a fish cabinet is, let me give you the story that provides the background for it. And then from there, we'll move on and I'll explain what your job is going to be with fish cabinets. So back in ancient China, there was a fisherman who had made a great fortune with his fishing fleet. And he decided that to celebrate his own greatness and to display the prominence that he had gained and the social status that he had gained from the success of his business. And he was going to hire an artist to make a painting of a fish to hang in his office area. So he goes around town and he talks to everybody he can talk to and asks them, who's the best artist? Who should I hire for this? And everybody gives him this one name of this one artist that he needs to go, you need to go see this guy. This is who you need to talk to. He will give you the best job. So the fisherman goes to see this artist, explains to him what he wants. They haggle back and forth for a minute about the price. Finally, they come to an agreement, and the artist says, of course, I want half the money up front. The fisherman's like, oh, of course, I understand. This is business. I understand. You want to make sure you've got something in your pocket just in case I never show back up, and you don't want to do this for nothing. I understand. So the fisherman pays him. The artist says, well, I'll be in touch with you when I'm finished. So the fisherman goes back home, goes back to work, and for a little while he forgets about the painting and just gets back into his day-to-day routine of going out and fishing and running his fishing fleet. And then, slowly time passes. It turns to winter. He still hasn't heard anything. It's been several months and he hasn't heard anything. And he starts to think, it's not really the money that I'm worried about. The money's insignificant. It's more the principle of I paid this guy for something and now he's not providing it. I think this guy should follow through. So he decides, well, artists, they're kind of temperamental. I know, they're not the easiest people to get along with. I'll give him a little more time and, see what he comes up with. Winter passes on into spring and then turns into summer. And finally the fisherman's like, this has been long enough. This guy's had plenty of time to do this painting. I'm going to go back to his house and I'm either going to get my painting or I'm going to get my money back. It's that simple. So he goes back to the artist's house, and as soon as the artist sees him, he's like, oh, yes, the fish painting. I've been meaning to finish that. So he runs over and he grabs a fresh canvas, sets it up, and 25 minutes later, he's got this beautiful portrait of a fish. Well, the fisherman just hits the roof. He is like, you have got to be kidding me. You have left me waiting for a year on something that took you 20 minutes to complete? Now, this is absolutely absurd. I'm taking my painting and I'm taking my money, and that's all there is to it. And the artist says, whoa, wait just a second now. That didn't take me 20 minutes to do. And he goes over to his cabinet and he opens it up. He pulls out literally dozens of canvases and he spreads them out. And in the early ones you can see he's not very good. He doesn't, he's not really representing a fish the way it should be represented. And the early ones are very disappointing. But as you go through and you see the progress, as he's getting better and better, and the fins are getting closer, and the eyes are getting right, and the shape is getting right, and the motion is getting right, you see progress until you get to this painting that it took him 20 minutes to do that looks absolutely flawless. And the artist looks at the fisherman and he says, I had to practice. Fish cabinets are your opportunity to practice writing without fear of a grade or judgment. Because when you're a fledgling writer, and even on, as you get a little more secure in your abilities, your impetus is always to want to try new things, to try something out and see how it works. Either a new sentence structure or just a new way of putting words together. Well, if you're a student and you do that for a paper in class, you may get an English instructor who marks it wrong and says, well, that's not how we write. That's not how things should be put together. Well, because you've been punished for it, maybe lost points on the paper or, been graded down or whatever happened, suddenly you're not as willing to try something new the next time. You just want to stick with what works. Well, that's one of the worst things you can do as a writer, sticking with what works. You always want to be pushing yourself, and you always want to be trying to expand your own skills. The fish cabinets are an excellent opportunity for you to practice writing without worrying about being graded or about worrying about what readers are going to say about it. These are just for you. These are for your own practice. So it gives you an opportunity to practice writing without worrying about what somebody's going to say about it. So you can try whatever you want to try, and you can expand your skills just through practice. And I can't stress enough how important practicing writing is. And I'm not saying don't read, because reading is important too. But there is no substitute. No amount of reading and no amount of thinking about writing will match practice that you do yourself in putting words together. That is the most important thing you can do as a writer to improve your own skill set, is to sit down, pen to page or fingers to keyboard or however it is that you compose, and get it out. I can't stress how important that is, that practicing writing is your best friend. Now, the second thing about fish cabinets, they're also your opportunity to establish the habit, the good habit, of maintaining a personal journal. If you're below the age of 30, you probably have a pretty good memory, most likely. And you probably think, my memory is always going to be pretty good. But the older you get, the less that's true. So for you, you need to get in a good habit now, whatever level you're at. You need to get in a good habit now of developing journals, keeping journals, because you need to write things down so that you can look back at them and remember them. I can't stress that enough. Fish cabinets are a good chance for you to get in that habit and for you to establish that habit for yourself so that it becomes second nature to you down the road. Okay, so those are the two reasons why I want you to do the fish cabinets. Now, obviously, you're not in my classroom. I can't force you to do them. I can't grade you on them. But you are not cheating me if you don't. You are only cheating yourself. If you choose not to do them, that's fine. But no, you're not going to get the full impact out of this lecture series if you do not keep up with the fish cabinets and do not write on the topics that I give you. So the first fish cabinet that I want you to do, in 2 well-developed paragraphs, I want you to write first paragraph, why you're following this lecture series. And I don't care if it's because a teacher made you do it. Why are you following this lecture series? Write a paragraph about that and explain the reasons why you're getting into it. The second paragraph, what do you personally hope to get out of it? Where are you wanting to improve? What are you wanting to improve upon? Write that down and keep it. And that's fish cabinet number 1. Again, I can't force you to do it, but if you're serious about this and you really want to get the most out of this lecture series, keep up with the fish cabinets. Okay, that's the end of video number 2. Please join us again next time for video 3, where we'll start into what I think is really the most important material that we're going to cover in the entire lecture series, and that is the writing process. And we'll get started on that next video. So please join us. Also, please come to the website, www.daadams.com, and there you'll find vocabulary building exercises and a feedback forum where you can ask me questions and I will respond. I will give you the best, most honest answers that I can on specific questions. So please join us at the website, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the next video. For now, I'm the professor signing off.